probably heard about the new study from the University of California, Davis, a study on avocado oil that has concluded that the vast majority of products that claim to be using avocado oil are actually not using 100% avocado oil. And it's a peer-reviewed study from UC Davis. It was just published in July. The lead researcher was Selena Wang, professor of food science. They purchased 54 processed food products that listed avocado oil as the only oil ingredient. This is key to understand. They analyzed the fatty acid and sterol profiles, compared them to authentic avocado oil. They allowed a 10% margin for natural variation. And they also tested 20 olive oil labeled products as a control group. Here's what they found. That out of the chips that claim to be made with avocado oil as the only oil, 26 out of 28 products failed. That's a 93% failure rate. 12 out of 12 salad dressings failed. 100% failure rate. 10 out of 14 mayonnaise brands failed. And again, these are the ones that are always touting they're made with avocado oil. 71% failure rate. Overall, 89% failure rate. Now, when they ran a similar test on olive oil products, the failure rate was only 5%. So it's 89% with avocado oil. With olive oil, it's only 5%. So there are a number of popular brands that failed, and I'm not going to go through the names of the brands except for one, because I'm going to read part of a statement from Mark Sisson, who is apparently the founder of Primal Kitchen. I guess he's a keto diet guy. Primal Kitchen failed this test, but again, I'm going to read you his statement. Importantly, the researchers tested different lots, at least 2 different lots of each product. Some brands had one of the lots that passed, and then the other lot failed. So what the study found is that the composition, that is the chemical markers of the oils, were inconsistent with avocado oil, and instead they are consistent with the fingerprint of things like soybean oil, canola oil, safflower or sunflower oil. One product appeared to be nearly 100% soybean oil with no avocado oil detectable, at least according to the researchers. Now, you and I probably want to avoid like cheaper garbage crap GMO seed oils, right? Like soybean and canola and whatever else, right? So we might be enticed to purchase products that claim to have avocado oil as their main ingredient. Now you'll notice with nearly all these products, at least the packages that I've seen, on the front, they have the words avocado oil really huge, and then little teeny tiny words above it says made with. Okay. So I hope you know that made with something means that the whole bag could contain like 1 drop of that thing. So made with avocado oil. And remember, the made with is little tiny print. The whole bag could be fried in soybean oil with 1 drop of avocado oil in it. And that actually appears to be the case for some of these products. So whenever you see made with, that doesn't tell you that it's all avocado oil. Even if it says made with 100% avocado oil, that still means it could be 1 drop of pure avocado oil in the fryer. So, all soybean oil made with 100% avocado oil that we added a couple of drops of. So that's how they can put 100% avocado oil on a package, and people think, oh, it must be all avocado oil. No, it isn't. They're basically telling you when they use the word made with. It's like you order a pizza, you get a pizza, and the pizza box says made with 100% real cheese. Does that mean all the cheese on the pizza is 100% real? No, not at all. It means that there might be 1 chunk of cheese that's real. somewhere on the pizza. And the rest could be fake cheese. Or, Velveeta, like melted Velveeta in the microwave and poured on the pizza. Who knows? Who knows? But it doesn't mean it's 100% real cheese all over the pizza. Not at all. So this is how processed food companies lie with words or deceive people with words. And some of these companies, no doubt, probably they are aware that they're cheating and deceiving. I mean, come on. We see this all the time in the food industry. Why do you think I run a food science lab? Why do you think I conduct all the science testing on all the foods that we sell? And by the way, we don't sell avocado oil. I mean, we just don't sell cooking oils at all. But at our store, healthrangerstore.com, it's laboratory tested. We do identity testing in addition to contaminant testing, heavy metals and glyphosate and dioxins and PCBs and atrazine, plus microbiology, E. coli, salmonella, yeast and mold, etc. Depending on the product, there can be other tests as well. So we do all this testing because we don't trust suppliers of raw materials. We don't trust suppliers of turmeric powder because turmeric often has a lot of lead in it. We don't trust suppliers of, cacao powder, often has lead or cadmium. We don't trust suppliers. I mean, one time we bought like 5,000 pounds of pomegranate powder. It was labeled 100% pomegranate powder. And we got it. This was many years ago. I remember this. We got it. And I looked at him like, that's a little bit too bright for pomegranate powder. It should be a darker red, And we opened up one of the bags and tasted it. Took a sample out and tasted it. And like, this is way too sweet for pomegranate powder. Like, we need to contact the manufacturer here, find out what's going on. And we contacted them, and then they admitted, oh yeah, it's actually, what did they say? It's cut 50% with like a cornstarch or some kind of grain starch that they cut it with. And then later on, I found that on Amazon.com, if you buy 100% pomegranate powder from certain companies, it's actually 50% starch because it's the same stuff. And they don't put it on the ingredients label. They don't tell you. They don't admit it. No, they sell it like 100% pomegranate powder. No, it's not. Not that at all. So some food companies lie all the time on purpose. Other food companies are tricked by their suppliers, but they make the mistake of trusting their suppliers, which is something that we don't do. We don't trust our suppliers. We're like Ronald Reagan, trust but verify, right? In essence, we don't trust them. We verify. Oh, you say it's turmeric? Okay, we're going to test it. We're going to make sure. Oh, you say it's clean? Oh, you say you did heavy metals test? Yeah, we don't believe you. We're going to do our own testing. Because anybody in the industry of food or supplements or superfoods, if you trust the supplier, you're going to get burned so fast and so bad. You're going to get burned. They're going to sell you the garbage they can't offload on some other company that's actually conducting testing. You see, like when I buy a product from a major supplier in the US, they know, they get the order from Health Ranger store. They're like, oh shit, we better ship them the good stuff. These people are going to test it. We do. And if it fails, we don't pay them for it. We ship it back, like take it back, bitches. But if you're just some Joe Blow company and you're not going to do any testing and you order the same thing, they'll ship you the crap that they have in the back room. There's like nobody else will buy. It's illegal to sell in Canada, that kind of stuff. They'll ship it to you because they know you're not going to check. That happens every day in the industry. Believe me, every day. I've seen it. I've seen so many cases involving so many companies. It's just off the charts. So, the level of deception is off the charts. So I'm talking about olive oil products, honey. A lot of honey is just counterfeit. It's not even honey. It's just corn syrup with like honey flavoring and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that's just total counterfeit, right? And avocado oil appears to be one where even if a company has a positive intention as a manufacturer, if they don't conduct due diligence of their suppliers, they could be buying something that's labeled 100% avocado oil. And normally they get it in drums, like large 50-gallon drums, typically like a steel drum or a poly drum. And it looks like avocado oil, and so, that goes into the giant fryer and they fry their potato chips in it. And then they think that they bought avocado oil. And so their product ends up on the grocery store shelves labeled avocado oil, but it isn't in many cases. Now, there are some that are, but there are many that are not. Now, since I mentioned one company here, Primal Kitchen, and I'm going to read part of the statement from Mark Sisson, who, again, I think he's the founder of Primal Kitchen. I don't know him. I've never interviewed him. But overall, I support the idea of avocado oil in products. So let me read for you his statement, okay? And then I've got some comments on that. He says, quote, "I've always stood by our products, and I do so to this day. I started researching and sourcing avocado oil in 2014, long before most people in this conversation had even heard about its benefits. And I know firsthand how important 100% pure, unblended avocado oil is to this community. Primal Kitchen," he says, "uses 100% pure avocado oil in our products, never blended with seed oils." All right, now, you could parse that sentence. You could say, he didn't say Primal Kitchen uses only 100% pure avocado oil, but then he does kind of explain it by saying never blended with seed oils. So he seems to be saying that the UC Davis study is bogus. Anyway, he continues, quote, "We stand behind that commitment and the rigorous sourcing and quality standards we've had in place from the beginning." He says, "I will post longer updates on the complexity of this issue over the next days and weeks, but I wanted to clear the air here. Let me be perfectly clear. Primal Kitchen does not use seed oils in any of its products. Not when I founded the company and not today. Please keep enjoying your Primal Kitchen products with my personal assurances to its continued quality." So this is interesting. And by the way, I will gladly invite Mark Sisson onto my show to discuss this issue. And he may have a point. He may have a very important point. And let me explain this. He may be right that the testing could be faulty. Now, I'm not claiming that, who's the researcher here? Mrs. Wang, I think was her name. I'm trying to find it again. Oh yeah, Selena Wang. Okay. I'm not claiming that Selena Wang engaged in any kind of misconduct or is trying to deceive anybody. I mean, she's a professor of food science. I don't know. Sounds like she probably knows a lot about food and science. Just guessing. UC Davis. However, I own a food science lab. I'm the author of a #1 best-selling food science book called Food Forensics. I've been running my lab for over 15 years. My lab has tested more food products and supplements and superfoods than I think any lab in America ever. Because we are all out. I mean, we have 9 mass spec instruments? Triple quad GC, triple quad LC, 2 ICP-MS instruments. Well, 3. One of them's not working at the moment. We have ion chromatography combined with single quad mass spec. We've got other instruments. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We're testing for dioxins and glyphosate and heavy metals. And I've done method validation myself, or method development, validation, instrument calibration, instrument maintenance. Oh, that's always fun. All kinds of weird plumbing problems and all the liquid chromatography. That's a blast. The one thing I've learned from being a food science person who literally runs a lab, one thing I've learned is that a lot of labs out there have no, how do I say this politically correct? They don't know what they're doing. Okay. There's a lot of labs that don't know what they're doing. And I've encountered smoking gun evidence of this before. where, for example, I would have a sample sent off to another lab for a third-party validation, and they would send it back, and they would report their cadmium numbers as an order of magnitude too high, or sometimes lead, but the one I'm thinking of was cadmium. And then I contact them back and say, hey, why is your cadmium 10 times higher than our cadmium level? And here's what we're using as certified reference materials. Here's our calibration curve. Here's our curve fit, etc. And then this one lab got back to me and said, oh, we had a problem and we miscalibrated. And instead of mass spectrometry, which is what I use, they were using spectroscopy, which is a lot more wishy-washy, by the way. I mean, the instruments that my lab uses are ridiculously accurate when it comes to counting the elemental masses, for things like lead and cadmium. I mean, it's absurdly accurate. Where spectroscopy is like, did you see blue in the rainbow or whatever? Oh no, that's that element. It's nowhere near the accuracy. Anyway, they were off by a factor of 10. And then they admitted to me, they're like, oh, we messed up with our calibration. So we'll rerun it again for you, give it back to you. I'm like, I was using you to try to validate, to have a third-party validation of what I was doing. Now you tell me you don't know what you're doing, and you're just going to redo it until your calibration matches my results? I mean, come on. Are you a science lab or not? So I didn't use that science lab again, obviously. It's like people have no idea what they're doing. So you may be wondering right now, why don't we test avocado oil in our lab? The answer is because we don't test lipids. That's not our area of expertise. It's not a contaminant. We're basically a food contamination lab. We test for heavy metals. We test for dioxins and PCBs and pesticides and herbicides and things like that. We don't test nutritive lipids. We don't do protein analysis. We're not counting how many carbohydrates or, that's not what we do. We're not a food label lab. So we don't have those methods. Otherwise, I would test it. And personally, I'm not even familiar with those methods. I don't know how to run those tests. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've seen science labs that don't know what they're doing. And we have to bring up that possibility that maybe in the University of California, just guessing, maybe there's some woke science people who, their blue hair got in the way of doing the actual science and they screwed it up. I mean, it's possible, right? It's possible. So Mark Sisson of, what is it again? Primal Kitchen. He may have a valid point. So here's what I'm willing to do. See, I don't know who's right on this. I wish I did. But I am willing to interview Mark Sisson. I'm also willing to review the methodology. And somebody needs to send me this paper. What is it? Applied Food Research? I haven't seen the actual paper. If I could read the paper, then I could very much understand what it is. But I want to know what instruments are used. I want to know the calibration record, the calibration curve. I want to know what external standards are used. I want to see the curve fit, whatever. If we're looking at concentrations of this, if you show me what the instrument produced, I can give you a pretty educated analysis based on my knowledge of food contamination testing and pesticide testing and things like that. Because see, the testing that I do in my lab, we're looking at things that are barely present, like parts per million or parts per billion, or in some cases, like dioxins, parts per trillion, or even lower. Sometimes we're looking at femtograms of things, So our instrumentation is looking at very, very small masses, whereas the University of California study is looking at very large macro ingredients, the oil, which is a big portion of what's in the bag. See, we don't look at that. But I'd be happy to review the science and give you my opinion on it. Now, look, and I want to just say on the record, I am happy to interview Mark Sisson or someone else from the Primal Kitchen company, or frankly, I guess any of these other big companies that have been named in this study. Look, I'm I'm happy to help. I mean, I'm always interested in the truth coming out, whatever it is. My guess is there's a mix. There's probably some really high integrity, honest companies that are using truly pure avocado oil. And then there's probably some other companies that are just a bunch of shysters, like making huge profits while feeding you crap soybean oil or whatever. It's going to be a mixture, like in every industry. Every industry, it's going to be that way in law, in dentistry, in politics, anything you name. It's going to be like that. But I'm happy to talk to people who want to go public with their answer to this study. And also, I'd be open to interviewing Selena Wang if she wants to go and go on the record and talk about her methodology, talk about what instruments she used. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a serious issue. There's a lot of companies named here, There is an Avocado Oil Manufacturers Association, apparently, that exists. That was founded, I think, just last year, and it was created to enforce integrity and some sort of internal standards in the food industry of whoever's using avocado oil. So that sounds great. I will say this, though, the one thing I've noticed about products that I bought that claim to be made with avocado oil, and I bought a few. I've bought some like mayonnaise products and I don't know, I guess mostly different mayonnaise brands. They go rancid really fast. That's why I stopped buying them, because they just go rancid. It's like this, open it up. It's like, this is all oxidized. What the hell? Maybe it is avocado oil, but it's oxidized avocado oil. Maybe the oxidation messes with the testing protocols and throws it off or something, because it does alter the lipids, obviously. So who knows? Maybe that's part of what's going on here. But we shall see. Anyway, you know how I get avocado oil? Is I buy whole avocados and then, I scoop them out and I throw them in the blender and I blend them up. I've been drinking avocados for 20 years. Every day, actually. I probably buy more avocados than any human other than David Avocado Wolf, I mean, probably he and I are the top 2 buyers of avocados. I buy so many avocados, I was worried the last time there was a Mexican cartel uprising, because I thought they were going to block the avocado shipments, because the cartels run the avocado trade. That's why avocados are so expensive. They're trafficking, drugs, weapons, humans, and avocados. I'm not even joking. Avocados are very lucrative. Like, you don't make as much money as trafficking heroin, I guess, or meth or whatever. But also, avocados don't get you raided by the DEA. So there's a bonus right there. I'd rather be in the avocado business than any other kind of trafficking business. Well, I wouldn't be in a trafficking business, but for the Mexican cartels, some of them are just shipping avocados. It's lucrative, man. Trees like just raining money. It's like $4 an avocado. Well, they don't get that locally. That's what it ends up at the store. But it's still lucrative. So anyway, bottom line is, number one, I'm a big fan of avocados and avocado oil. Number two, I do not trust processed food manufacturers. I don't trust anybody in the food industry. I don't trust the suppliers of raw materials. No, I don't trust them at all. I don't trust their certificates when they claim it's tested and it's clean and bullshit. I'm sorry. The reason people shop at my store, healthrangerstore.com, is because of this attitude. Because they know I don't trust anybody else in the industry. They know, I built a lab. I filmed it. I published the videos publicly. I've given tours. Like Mickey Willis was in the lab, last week. He and his son, Azai, playing with the microscope. They were having a blast. Michael Yan has been in the lab. I give tours to people who show up. I show them the lab. Tons of people have seen it. It's real. The reason I have this lab is because I don't trust anybody in the industry. That's why you can trust the cleanliness of our foods and our supplements and our products, because we test freaking everything. And as far as I know, we're the only ones that do that. I'm not aware of anybody else that is this dedicated to laboratory testing of their products, because it's extremely expensive, time consuming, and it will take years of your life to learn how to do it correctly, many years. It's equivalent to getting a PhD, basically, well, or multiple PhDs. If you master multiple instruments, it's a big deal. So most people don't want to jump through those hoops. Plus, one mass spec instrument can set you back $300,000 or $400,000 with an annual maintenance fee of like 40 or 50 grand, by the way. So there's another thing to consider. It's not something you do lightly. You know what I mean? It costs a fortune. But if you're serious about clean food, as I am, then, you're going to do it. And that's why people shop with us. So anyway, bottom line is, we don't sell potato chips and we don't sell avocado oil. We don't sell mayonnaise. We don't sell salad dressings. So you're going to have to get those somewhere else. And I'll work hard to try to get to the bottom of this story with you. But we do sell high-end nutritional supplements, superfoods, ultra clean chlorella, spirulina, astaxanthin, turmeric tincture, herbal formulas, plus personal care products, ultra clean, fragrance-free deodorants, body soap, shampoo, toothpaste, automatic dishwasher detergent, laundry detergent without the toxic cancer-causing chemicals, environmentally friendly formulations, laboratory tested. You can see it all on our website, healthrangerstore.com. You'll be glad you did. So thank you for supporting us, and I'll do my best to bring you more news about this, the avocado oil. What should we call it? Like Avogate. Does that sound about right? Avogate. Like Watergate? Avogate. Well, we'll see where it goes. In the meantime, you can follow me at naturalnews.com, and also you can follow my videos at brightvideos.com. Take care. Well, we are learning that mRNA vaccines are basically abortion injections. This, according to new Fauci texts that have been released by Senator Ron Johnson. We'll go into some of those here, but also former CDC Director Walensky, she was publicly interviewed on the news saying that it's okay to get an mRNA injection when you're pregnant, when you're thinking of getting pregnant. It's like, what? The abortion rates of these vaccines is off the charts. The number 82% is, that's been quoted by Senator Johnson saying, quote, Fauci and the entire government institution of healthcare were aware that vaccinating pregnant women in the first trimester would result in 82% of the patients having spontaneous abortions or miscarriages. However, they needed the narrative of safe and effective, so they created a pressure campaign against OBGYN doctors to force them to support vaccinations of pregnant women. So, look, this is an extermination agenda being pushed through vaccines, through mRNA, through doctors, hospitals, pharmacists, big pharma, FDA, CDC. And the new text from Fauci reveal that he knew. He knew all along. There's a text chain, in fact, that's been released involving Walensky, that's Rochelle Walensky, and Vivek Murthy and Anthony Fauci, dated January 25 and 26 from the year 2021. And in that chain, they discuss pregnant women and the COVID-19 injection. And the key text from this is from Dr. Fauci. He says, quote, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokines storm and fever, cytokine storm is a massive inflammation wave in your body. After the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester, priority normal, status sent, etc. There it is, dated January 25th, 2021. So Fauci knew. He knew that this could kill babies in the first trimester. But he continued to push it anyway. And so did the CDC under Walensky. So did the FDA. And remember, Fauci was at that time director of NIAID. So this is smoking gun proof that the people pushing this jab, they knew it was a depopulation weapon. They knew it was mass extermination. They pushed it anyway because, well, that's their goal. That's their goal. And now we see that the United States military is reactivating flu shots, the requirement for all active duty military personnel. Now, remember that when you're in the military, you don't have the power to say no. So that's a case where being forcibly injected with the vaccine is literally medical assault. It's assault with a potentially deadly weapon. And unlike civilians who can just say no, a civilian, you might lose your job. You might be denied access to a nursing home or university or the right to fly on a commercial jet. But they're not going to throw you to the ground and jab a needle in your arm while you're screaming. They will do that in the military. They will do that. I've seen some videos of them doing exactly that in the military. So while we say normally most people give consent for these mRNA jabs, even though they've been deceived and tricked into it, but they give consent. In the military, that's not necessarily true. A lot of people don't give consent, but they're forcibly injected anyway. If you think about the fact that Trump is moving us toward world war with a lot of hints that there's going to be a draft. There are efforts underway to prepare for a widespread draft in the U.S. And then following the draft, all of those draftees would be forcibly injected with mRNA, which in my view clearly is a deadly biological weapon for mass human extermination. If you connect the dots on this, it's pretty clear that Trump is running what we might call Operation Warp Speed 2.0, which is a kind of line them up and kill them operation for young American males to first draft them into the military and then murder them with the deadly mRNA jabs in the military. And if they don't die from that, well, they'll send them to the front lines to be killed by either Russia or Iran. This is a mass extermination campaign that Trump is running. Now, I don't think anybody listening to this podcast is still a so-called plan truster. We've been screwed badly by now. I mean, look at this. Just the release of the new mRNA vaccine, which is really gene therapy. This proves that the pharmaceutical bureaucracy, the FDA and the CDC, they wouldn't care if Trump had a plan that was actually pro-human or pro-health. They wouldn't care. They ignore it. In fact, Trump just signed an executive order that some people are celebrating. It says, oh, Trump signed the EO, and it's going to spread out the vaccines and reduce the required vaccines by half and give more power to parents. No, it isn't. It's not going to do a damn thing. You know why? Because executive orders carry no weight with the courts. And Congress didn't pass any new laws for this executive order. The FDA didn't issue any new regulations for this executive order. You know what executive orders used to be used for? I'm talking decades ago when they were first invoked by presidents like Richard Nixon and so on. They were used by presidents to do things like change the silverware in the White House dining hall or, to request new curtains. That's what executive orders were for. Things that were so small that you didn't need. You don't want to bother Congress. Like, we don't need to pass a law to get new plates for the White House dining room, So that's what EOs were for. But of course, presidents continued to try to expand their executive power with more and more aggressive executive orders. Clinton did it. Bush did it. Obama did it. Trump did it in his first term. Biden did it. And now Trump is trying to basically rewrite law with executive orders, but the bureaucracy laughs at him. The bureaucracy is saying, we don't care what you wrote down in your EO. That's That's like Dear Diary. I wish that the vaccine schedule would be changed. It's like the way Trump negotiates with imaginary Iranians who are actually just voices in his head. That's basically now he's writing down the voices in his head, and that becomes an executive order. It doesn't carry any weight in the rule of law. It's not a law. It's not recognized by courts at all. It's not recognized by any bureaucracy, etc. So the FDA is just going to thumb their noses at this and tell Trump to go pound sand. They're going to keep pushing out deadly depopulation bioweapons, no matter what Trump signs on an executive order. So I posted this earlier. I'll read it to you. I think you'll appreciate this. I was reminded today that there are still plan trusters who are the last holdouts that still believe all of Trump's betrayals are part of some grand plan that will result in a new golden age and some sort of quantum financial free prizes or something. In 1972, decades after the Japanese Empire surrendered in World War II, a Japanese military sergeant named Shoichi Yokoi was found, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, was found hiding out on Guam, living in the jungle for nearly 28 years, still hoping the Japanese military would defeat the Americans. He was a plan truster, you see. There were several others also discovered on Guam and in the Philippines and Indonesia and other countries from the late 1940s all the way through 1974, all hoping the war would finally be won. Now, while you have to admire their tenacity, these what are called Japanese holdouts, as they're now known, were, of course, living in denial of reality. Today's MAGA plan trusters are the Japanese holdouts of the modern era. They're still living in the jungles of geopolitics in their minds and hoping Trump will deliver the victory they all sacrificed for. Some will continue to hold out for years and tell themselves whatever lies they need to stay on course with their self-delusional fairy tales. Everybody else already knows the MAGA political war was lost, that Trump betrayed America, that Maha is a joke, and that Trump's golden age only applies to himself or his family members or other close associates who benefit from the out-of-control corruption and insider trading that now characterizes this failed administration, which has also ensnared our nation in seemingly endless wars that are beginning to have devastating economic repercussions for everyone. If you are still living in the jungles of Guam, in your mind, and hoping for Trump to finally unleash his great MAGA victory and round up all the traitors while releasing all the Epstein files, it's probably time for you to walk out of the jungle and smell the coffee. There is no 5D chess plan. The political war is over. MAGA was betrayed. The Trump regime is completely infiltrated and run by a foreign power. Fauci won't be incarcerated. The deadly jabs won't be stopped. The fiat currency printing won't slow down. And the wars won't come to a quick end. All the criminals currently in charge will receive pardons, and they won't go to prison either. You were deceived. Come back to the real world and start preparing accordingly. So that's what I posted, mostly getting positive feedback on that because most people share that sentiment at this point. It's like, oh man, we've been betrayed over and over and over again. And no, there is no 5D chess plan here. Basically, Trump is like panicking from one day to the next and sort of wavering between threats and surrender on any given day. It's pretty bad. And that's just with the war with Iran, by the way. And Iran said today that they're done negotiating with Trump or even trying to communicate with Trump because it's impossible to communicate with Trump or any representatives from the Trump regime because they are morons, retards, and corrupt criminals who don't know anything about geopolitics or nuclear war or history or culture or even anything about Iran for that matter. You know, Kushner, what's the other guy's name? The Witkoff, the real estate developer. I mean, what a clown show of retards. So Iran said through official channels, they said, well, we're just not even going to talk to Trump. We'll just sit this out until January of 2029. when Trump is no longer president, if he even lasts that long. I don't think he's going to last that long, but we'll see. But Iran said, we'll just wait this thing out because we can wait. And I began to wonder, I think a lot of people wondered, does Iran mean the Strait of Hormuz is going to stay mostly closed through January of 2029? Because I hope not. I mean, but it seems like they're prepared to, because if the U.S. Navy won't leave the area, then Iran is going to continue to maintain the blockade over the strait. And if that's the case, then, if you thought supply chains were bad now, if you thought gas and diesel prices were bad now, just wait. Just wait 6 months or a year. Oh, man, it will be catastrophic. If this closure of the strait continues, even for the rest of this year, it will be catastrophic. I've already talked about the catastrophic global famine that's going to emerge from this, not to mention the economic collapse, the industrial collapse, the civil unrest, and eventually revolutionary revolt in certain countries, because economies will collapse if this continues. So let's hope that Iran doesn't mean that the strait's going to stay closed. Let's hope they mean that, well, we're just not going to talk to Trump, but we'll still let ships go through if they pay us a fee, which is, that's acceptable to me. Pay the fee. Let the oil flow, let the helium flow, let the sulfur, and the fertilizer flow, for God's sake. Otherwise, our world's in trouble, right? So I guess we're going to find out, huh? But if this does go to World War III, Trump is making sure that U.S. soldiers are going to be weakened and have their immune systems destroyed by mRNA. Some of them will be killed by the jabs that will be required of them in the military. And then just to make sure they kill more Americans, they'll roll out a draft and, put all the young men in there to be jabbed, and some of them killed and all of them injured and altered, causing long-term infertility, etc. That's what's coming. This is a long-term takedown of the United States empire from within via a Trojan horse actor named Donald J. Trump. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, Governor Healy just signed a bill to legalize abortions up to the moment of birth. And the Democrats applauded it, of course. The Democrats, all surrounded by women Democrats there who love to kill babies and take jabs. And that's another weird thing about this. There's something in the minds of Democrats where they love to take more vaccines. And the crazier the vaccine, the more genetic alteration it causes, the more they love it. And they love Fauci, too. They think Fauci is a hero. I don't know what it is about the Democrat mind, other than maybe just brain damage, that makes them just worship vaccines and worship government authority and clap like seals, over abortions and killing babies and even killing themselves with vaccines, etc. I don't know what it is about the Democrat mind, but that mind is damaged. And the Republican minds, that is the Republican establishment, they're damaged in a different way. They've broken down in a different way. Just betrayal, a clown show of incompetence and launching more wars and expanding more wars. And, our country is run by totally insane, incompetent maniacs, lunatics, death cult members on both the left and the right. That's what's tragic about this whole situation. There is no party, no political party to go to that now represents sanity. Doesn't exist. On the radical left, they want to murder babies or chop off the genitals of children and have them subjected to gender transition surgeries. And they love that. Yay! Little Johnny is a girl now, And then on the Republican side, it's like, let's start more wars. Let's just go bomb and conquer and assassinate and threaten and sanction kill them all. You know, Scott Bessent bragging about how they weaponized Iran's currency to try to cause inflation and financial collapse in Iran. Just bragging about it right on TV, you know? Because that's the way the GOP thinks. Everything is a weapon against the world. Everything, you know, let's pirate and pillage and steal and kill and take all their resources. Like, that's the GOP. In contrast to Democrats, just like, let's just kill everybody, especially starting with our own children. You know, that's the Democrats. So at this point, belonging to either political party, or at least supporting either political party, is kind of an act of suicide. At least that's the way I see it so far. So anyway, the bottom line is you're living, if you're an American, you're living under the domineering control of death cultists. Whether it's Republicans or Democrats in charge makes little difference. They're both death cults. Both parties worship vaccines, war, death, extermination, genocide. You know, the GOP funds genocide in Israel, and the Democrats fund genocide at the abortion clinic. You know, it's like if they want to do to black communities in America what Israel did to Gaza, you know, that's Democrats for you right there. It's basically the Israelification of the medical system, while what Donald Trump wants to do is the Israelification of law enforcement and ICE. I mean, yeah, it's all bad news, right? There's nothing good there. So this reinforces the importance of decentralized living and why you need to be away from the central control grid as much as possible. Grow as much of your own food as you can. Have your own off-grid power systems if you can, you know, solar and otherwise. Have your own off-grid communication systems, maybe satellite phones or other things, radios. You know, have your own, like, grow your own medicine, right? Like pine needles. Have your own local AI systems. All these things that I talk about almost daily, these are becoming more important than ever. So follow my work, and I will do my best to continue to advocate for and teach you principles of decentralized living. And also, I have a very already popular course, even though it hasn't been launched yet. People are wanting early access to this course. It's a course I'm working on about genetic survival, and it's about how to protect yourself from widespread mRNA shedding and also radioisotope fallout following a nuclear war. So there you go. That course is going to be completely free. It will be launched, I'm hoping, here before the end of August. It looks like it's going to make it. I'm almost done recording it. Again, it will be free, and I will keep you posted about that course. And you'll be able to just watch the videos or listen to the MP3 files, or you can optionally purchase the course if you want to download everything, or you can just watch it for free. We'll have it at brightu.com and other websites, and I'll keep you posted. So just follow my work here at brightvideos.com or naturalnews.com, and I'll keep you posted about that. In the meantime, remember, Fauci knew, Walensky knew, the FDA, the CDC, they all knew what they were doing. They knew that these jabs were exterminating unborn children. They knew that they were abortion shots, but also killing living people, especially elderly. They knew this the whole time. And I believe that every last one of those people should be criminally prosecuted. And the hundreds or even thousands more who were part of this anti-human bioweapons conspiracy to literally mass murder. Easily over 1 million Americans have been murdered by these jabs that were pushed by certain people. Why are those people not facing criminal prosecutions or even investigations? Huh? Why? Yeah, because the establishment wants you dead. That's why. The establishment will protect the exterminators who are getting rid of what the globalists call useless eaters. That's people. That's people. And they're doing it all on purpose, like I said. So be aware, folks. Be aware. All right. I will do my best to keep you posted. I'll tell you about my new course when it's ready, coming up soon. And it contains information so powerful, it could literally save your life. Because the new round of mRNA super shedding is about to begin. Probably like early October is my guess. The super shedders will be walking around shedding all over the place. So be prepared. We'll talk later. Take care.
We're in danger of losing our nation. We've never been in a situation where there was a greater danger to our republic. The founders warned very clearly, over and over, about beware of foreign entanglements. President Kennedy, let us not forget, declined to assent to Israel's desire to become a nuclear power. And the consequences we're familiar with, what happened to our President Kennedy. Israel, which had the sympathy of the world at one point, has just, in the name of predatory and expansive Zionism, has just decided that they're going to ignore world opinion, ignore every moral law that exists. It is insane, and the world needs to respond.
Decentralize, got to realize, don't decarbonize. Decentralize, decentralize.
Welcome to today's episode, which is a special new Down the Rabbit Hole episode, part of Decentralized TV that has a little bit different format. So Todd, tell us about, what does it mean when we have a Down the Rabbit Hole episode?
It means it's an episode that isn't necessarily dedicated to decentralized living, but man, oh man, is the guest interesting. And, we needed to create a category to where that we could keep everyone interested in. And I'm just excited as heck. This is going to be fun because now we can, break out of the just decentralized living and bring a lot of guests and topics and ideas to the table that I think people are going to love.
Yeah, well said. I would also add that this interview may not be as practical as what we normally do. And also, as a disclaimer, there may be points that are presented that Todd and I don't agree with, and that's totally okay. But we think overall, the content is worth your time and attention to consider. So enjoy this episode of Decentralized TV, Down the Rabbit Hole. Welcome to today's interview here on Decentralized TV. And wow, we have a fantastic guest for you here today, who is, I think, one of the most courageous voices of truly independent thinking, a former congressman who was recently on with Tucker Carlson, and someone who I consider, and Tucker even said, talked about what an extraordinary American and human being our guest is. And I'll tease you with that. He's coming up here shortly. But let me bring in Todd Pittner, who's also extraordinary, and my co-host. Welcome, Todd. Great to have
Mike,
you.
How are you? How are you? I tell you what,
great.
This guest that we have today is going to blow your mind, especially with all the research that he's done on U.S.rail, which
oh, is that the one combined conglomerate now? Is that what that is?
U.S.rail. I think it's perfect for the topic today.
Well, let me set the context, and we'll bring him in. But see, we believe in decentralization, which also means that at the national level, we believe in national sovereignty. At the state level, we believe in state sovereignty. At the individual level, we believe in individual liberties and sovereignty. It's layered. Yeah. But when our nation is controlled by another nation, that is not decentralized.
No.
So you want to go ahead with the intro and the question, Todd?
Sure. Well, have we brought in our guest?
No, let's bring him in. Welcome, Congressman Dennis Kucinich. It's an honor to have you on, sir.
Todd and Mike, thanks so much. I think it was about a year ago that we talked, and what a year this has been. And there's so much to cover right here. And I want to thank both of you for this opportunity to engage in a discussion with you. I'm wearing glasses right now. I usually don't wear them, but I've written some notes in such fine hand that I want to make sure I don't miss them.
You look great. you've been traveling, I know, and you're in different time zones and everything. It's difficult to do all that. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. And Todd has a great lead-off question for you.
Yeah, I do. Dennis, thank you for being with us. I miss the good old days when a foreign military actually had to invade us before gaining access to our defense infrastructure. Dennis, you recently warned that Congress may be quietly approving what amounts to a partial merger of the American and Israeli militaries. What precisely would Section 219 authorize, and where does legitimate cooperation between allies become a surrender of American sovereignty?
Well, first of all, Todd, let me just state that if you want to have a formal relationship with another country, there is a process. It's called a treaty, and that has to go to the United States Senate. So there is a sense in which this attempt to use Section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027 for the purposes of creating a closer connection with the state of Israel, that it's unconstitutional. Now, and what this legislation does, and by now there are many people aware of it, it creates an integration between the United States and the Israeli military that effectively is a merger of the most sensitive areas in our tech areas, and that would actually it would actually increase, this bill would actually increase our intelligence risk. Intel is already, U.S. intel agencies have already said, whoa, wait a minute, we don't want to get in this deep with Israel, particularly when Israel is giving us wrong information. Israel misled the United States, telling them, no problem, go and attack Iran, you'll knock their government off, and we'll live happily ever after. Well, that didn't happen. It's not going to happen. And the resilience that Iran has shown and the U.S. miscalculation as a result of being coaxed by Israel into this war has made of Iran a recognized regional power and has caused the United States to have to essentially retreat from the region.
That's
this
true.
is extraordinary. And this is one of the things that Israel has to take, the U.S. is ultimately responsible, but this is Israel pushing the U.S. And right now, this kind of a tech merger, let's think about the context, Todd. This tech merger is occurring during a genocide, during ethnic cleansing, during religious warfare,
Mm-hmm.
and while leading the U.S. into war. And this has happened before. I had Netanyahu sitting across from me when I was a member of Congress of the Government Oversight Committee, in which I eventually became a chair of a subcommittee. And he was promoting the war in Iraq. And he was promoting a war against Libya. And he was promoting a war against Iran 24 years ago. And so this is and he constantly beating the drum. Oh, they've got nuclear weapons. They're going to, weapons of mass destruction, boom, boom, boom. Was all fake, all lies. And he cannot, he's an inveterate liar. And he has caused the U.S. to spend trillions of dollars on his fantasies. And the U.S. has been not just a sucker, but we've gone against the interest of our own people. And finally, to come back to you with a follow-up question, finally, you have this element of AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, which has no problem at all spending $30 million to try to knock out Tom Massey, to try to spend, one estimate, $70 million to defeat Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan's primary. They have corrupted the American political process. So you have what Israel's doing in front of our eyes, the corruption behind the scenes in the U.S. Congress, which is now, full blown and recognized. And then you have this legislation, which is like a capstone on a takeover.
Well, if Section 219 becomes law, what will Americans discover 5 years from now that Congress either failed to understand or deliberately refused to discuss? And
Well, they're going to discover that a treason occurred against the people of the United States. I mean, it's very good that, the House of Representatives unfortunately narrowly passed this bill, which contains Section 219. It's now before the Senate. It's blocked in the Senate. Why is it blocked in the Senate? I mean, as we speak, it is blocked in the Senate, and it may not move anytime soon. And here's why. One of the reasons is this, with the House version of Section 219 has a different section number in the Senate, but it's more than that. This $1.5 trillion bill for war is going to take about 80% of discretionary spending. There are senators who are saying, what are we doing here? The president promised no more wars, and he comes in and he changes the name of defense to Department of War, puts forth a budget that is a 67% increase over the previous year's budget, transits the spending from domestic priorities into war. And the Iran war right now, by some accounts, could approach $1 trillion in expenses. And there's already concerns, as we all know, that the Strait of Hormuz may be closed for quite some time, as with the Bab el-Mandab, which is the Yemen side, which provides for transit for other countries to go and ship the oil out. We could see a 40% disruption in oil transit to the world, which will affect markets, which will affect the economy, and which will put us in a position of having weakened our national security. Right. So this is just astonishing, but there's even more.
Well, Dennis, let me jump in here about the merger with Israeli intelligence on this. Of course, as the founder of the show here, I care about us, achieving decentralization, which is as much as possible, maintaining as a nation, maintaining our own rights, our own sovereignty. And if we were going to merge with any other country in the world, which I would be against, seems like the most wrong choice, or arguably a horrible choice, would be Israel, given the history of Jonathan Pollard and the theft of military secrets and intelligence secrets that were then funneled from the U.S. to Israel illegally, criminally, and Pollard was convicted. And he was a spy serving Israel. Why would we then hand over voluntarily? I mean, basically, what this law would do is legalize Jonathan Pollard's spying operation on our country at a much larger scale, wouldn't it?
You have succinctly summarized one of the major contradictions here. But if someone has stolen our secrets, what does it say about us if we just want to give them away? Right. You don't have to steal anymore. Here they are on a silver platter. And it also needs to be mentioned and must never be forgotten. The 34 sailors who were on the USS Liberty, who were deliberately bombed in an attack by Israel's Air Force.
That's right.
Which the United States has never fessed up to, about looking the other way. Well, Israel killed, members of the U.S. Navy. So this relationship is a relationship that has outlived any usefulness it could have possibly had. It is time for the United States to separate itself, to assume the integrity of sovereignty, to insist that we stand alone as the United States of America. And if we need at any point to build alliances going forward, we do that on a case-by-case basis. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, permanent interests for the United States
Correct.
of America.
Amen.
And the recognition that other nations have their own interests and their own sovereignty, and that they have the right to choose who they want to sell to or buy from. This thing where Trump runs around the world yelling at India or Turkey or China and demanding, you can't buy oil from Russia, wait a second, or from Iran, or you can't buy semiconductors from Europe. It's like, wait, what? Who Who put you in charge of the whole world?
What this has led to, you're right, Mike, and what this has led to is the rise of a trading bloc with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, where there's a de-dollarization going on.
Yes,
Where,
BRICS.
where oil, instead of being denominated in dollars, is being increasingly denominated in Chinese yuan. So, and let us not forget that the elasticity of the U.S. economy has always depended on dollarization. And so this is a nightmare because our ability to grow economically is being stunted. Our ability to protect our own national security. Look, we've run out of missiles.
Yeah.
And how and why? Because we've handed it all over to Israel so that they could defend themselves against an attack that was a counterstrike as a result of what happened on February 28th. We killed their leader, Khomeini.
Yeah.
We killed 168 people, most of them school children, in Manab on February 28th. And so, of course, Iran struck back. And so we have just put everything out there for Israel and forgot about the good old US of A.
And the people that are elected representatives are supposed to represent. I mean, hence that term, elected representatives. And I think the overall vibe, at least that I'm picking up, I'm sure both of you see this, is that the American people today who voted for Trump, so much of MAGA feels completely betrayed, absolutely fed up, actually fed up with politics. I have seen so many people say, I can't vote Democrat, I can't vote Republican, I'm just not going to participate at all. And then, Tucker Carlson seems to be leaning in the direction of a possible third-party apparatus. I'm not sure what the reception is going to be among people, but I'm curious about your thoughts on this whole movement of people. The American people do not feel represented at all. They feel completely shut out of their own country.
You're right, and the consequences are that we're in danger of losing our nation. We've never been in a situation where there was a greater danger to our republic. The founders warned very clearly, over and over, about beware of foreign entanglements. More recently, President Eisenhower, in his valedictory speech, beware of the military-industrial complex. President Kennedy, let us not forget, tried to extract the U.S. from a conflict in Southeast Asia, and also, declined to assent to Israel's desire to become a nuclear power. And the consequences we're familiar with what happened to our President Kennedy. We are now in a dilemma where we've overreached as a nation. We are economically vulnerable. Our national security is vulnerable. Our sovereignty has been impaired. Our Congress has been usurped. It has been bought out in unfortunately, many ways. You walk the halls of Congress and you see Israeli flags outside of U.S. Congressional offices, or printed flags on the walls of congressional offices outside in the halls saying, I stand with Israel. Now, look, we're all familiar with what happened in World War II. It was horrific. The Holocaust must never be forgotten. That's why genocide against Palestinians or Lebanese cannot be accepted ever. And for whatever reason, and this is absolutely mind-blowing, Israel, which had the sympathy of the world at one point, has just, in the name of predatory and expansive Zionism, has just decided that they're going to ignore world opinion, ignore every moral law that exists, and just go ahead and kill people so they can claim some kind of connection with a biblical reading that some of their leaders have, that they have to kill the Amalekites, and that present day Palestinians are those Amalekites. So they have to kill everything. They have to kill their children, kill their wives, destroy their homes, cut down their olive trees that are 300 to 1,000 years old. It is insane, and the world needs to respond. The United Nations needs to respond, notwithstanding the U.S. veto. There needs to be a really strong statement here against genocide, because Mike and Todd, this approach that's being used is coming home. It's coming home. How ICE treats people. Some of them some of the leaders have been trained in Israel. There's a different ethic out there right now in terms of human life.
Clearly.
And
we call it the Israelification of U.S. law enforcement. And you see it in the aggression, just the shooting of American citizens in the streets of Minneapolis, right?
And other places.
And other places. Right. And
so you look at this. How can you not be horrified? And at the same time, what do we do about it? I want to go back to the question that you posed about the potential for an independent movement in 2028. I think there's a real potential there. When you go back to the days of Ross Perot was raising economic questions about trade that turned out to be prophetic.
Yes.
Real run at Clinton and Gore. But then, his campaign, unfortunately for people wanting a choice, fell apart. But this is the first time since the days of Perot that there is an opening. And it's not only about economics. It's about freedom, liberty. It's about sovereignty. It's about endless wars. It's about our Constitution. Yeah, and is there a possibility of a coalition coming together to reclaim the country in a presidential contest? Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I see it. And it's being fueled right now by the very elements that we've been talking about. And so Tucker Carlson, who, I've known Tucker for many years, and he's been very important in using his platform to provide the American people with another view of what's really going on. And people are hungry for the truth. They know the truth when they hear it.
Yeah.
And they know the stuff they're being fed on some of the legacy media just doesn't meet the test of honesty.
Dennis and Todd, we'll go to you next. But Dennis, we had Tucker was a guest on our show here recently. He spoke very highly of you. And from years past, being, I think, traveling with you when during your congressional days and covering you in his early career. Anyway, he spoke very highly of you, and we all agreed that we appreciate you because of your principles, and that what's happening in this country is we can no longer, or we should never worship a man, a woman, a person. We have to honor principles, not individuals, because individuals can be turned, they can be compromised, they can be Epstein, they can be blackmailed, whatever. The principles are what matter, and principled people can lead us to that future. But go ahead, Todd.
Well, first of all, I want to go on record, and I'm dead serious. I think Netanyahu is the Amalekite. And I'm serious. I mean, just from a biblical interpretation, when you see his net output. But my question to you, Dennis, is what is Netanyahu's end game? If he's been at this, touting war for 3 decades, what's he want?
He wants to stay out of prison.
Okay.
He wants to stay out of jail. And he wants to hold his government together so that is possible. And he's got an election coming up in October, and he's not in good shape because his narrative is starting to unravel. Look, I've met Netanyahu several times.
Yeah.
He's very skillful. He's very smart, and he's a hustler. He's just, I mean,
Yeah.
he's we've all met street hustlers. He's a hustler on the world street. And he has had a lot of support in the United States to increase his prominence in Washington. And he's made book in order to gain power. He made book with the furthest right characters, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and gave them ministerial positions where they could work out their cockamamie designs to commit genocide and to do it with a religious fervor. He's trying to stay in office. And does he believe the things that he says? I doubt it. He's just a great liar.
Wow.
And he's able to speak to the American people with a delivery, a pronunciation, a tone that is very convincing to Americans.
Really, you have to give him credit for that. I mean, I don't, I look at people forensically. I don't like what Netanyahu does, but, could I sit down and talk to him? Absolutely. And if I was talking to him, I'd tell him, hey, the getting is good right now. Get out. Because otherwise, if this thing goes south, you're going to end up in the dock at the World Court. Now, people say, well, that'll never happen. Oh, let me tell you. There's something about the Ark of Justice, it's been discussed through decades, that sooner or later it's going to catch up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it will catch up with others who have promoted this genocide and this ethnic cleansing.
That's right.
I think, going back to Tucker Carlson, he has been so important in alerting Americans as to how we have journeyed so far from our basic values as a country, how we have journeyed from our constitutional principles, how we have journeyed from moral principles. Tucker has been very courageous in doing this, and I felt to have the chance to be on his show and to be on this show was so important to give people an opportunity to understand what's at stake here. I don't, Israel has unfortunately crossed a divide, which there is no coming back from. They have gone into genocide. And unfortunately, the U.S., many U.S. corporations have been participating in that with our tax dollars and with corporate investments. But there has to be some accountability here. So what kind of accountability do we need? I think that Israel's role as a nation has to be suspended, that they have to come up with a way to reconnect with the world community by admitting what they've done and by having a period of truth and reconciliation with the world community. They have to accept responsibility, because otherwise we have inverted the moral calculus of our times and made worse the bad.
I concur with exactly what you're saying, that the original UN charter, I believe it was, for the existence of Israel was based on certain assumptions, none of which have held. One of those assumptions was that Palestine was empty and no one was already there, and that there weren't already families and farms and people and communities and churches and synagogues and everything else. And that was false. But it's very clear, I think, to those of us who are sober-minded that Israel's leadership has taken that country to a place where it does not deserve to be recognized as a member of the international community unless it can completely reform the way that it interacts with the international community. And I think we're saying the same thing or something similar. Go ahead.
Well, Mike, let me build on that a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's not just the leaders. They have effectively propagandized the people of Israel so that they generally have massive support for killing Palestinians. This is so sad. It is just so tragic. My experience with Judaism is through a principle known as tikkun olam, the idea of healing the world, that we are here to heal the world, not destroy the world, not commit genocide, ethnic cleansing, but to actually heal the world. And I talk again about a moral inversion, that the way to redemption now and to ascension is murder. Wow. We go from thou shalt not kill to thou must kill.
That's crazy. It's satanic. I mean, it's completely upside down.
Yeah, it is. And there's no way to hold a society together, or a world together for that matter.
That's right.
If we adopt this do unto others before they do unto you, we have to reaffirm the basic values that have held civilization together. It doesn't mean there's not going to be conflicts, but it does mean that you have to have some underlying agreement. I mean, the UN Charter itself was developed to end the scourge of war for all time.
Mm-hmm.
You go at the UN building and you see a gun with its barrel twisted so it can't fire. I mean, there's a reason why. And see, this idea of peace through strength, the articulated American administration's defense policy, is also an inversion. We need to see strength through peace, through diplomacy, through the science of human relations.
Right.
We're not doomed to descending into this morass of forever war and even nuclear war. We're smart enough to avoid it. But that means we have to challenge those who are placing the resources of our country for destruction. We have to challenge that thinking. We have to challenge that ethic. We have to challenge it politically. We have to do it in every way that we can. And we have to we have to do some work on our own country about resolving our differences in a nonviolent way. There's a direct connection between the U.S. tax dollars being used to kill people abroad and the violence that happens in our own society.
So you're saying that Pete Hegseth is not an elder statesman?
Well, he's doing.
I mean, he's like a comic book character.
But what he's doing. He, as Secretary of War, he's acting out his belief that this is what you need to do to make America strong, and he's wrong. Period.
Yeah.
And
he's made us weak. He's made our military weaker. He's made our military look weaker. And he and Trump together have made our international reputation far less valuable, far less credible, and is actually chasing away our friends and encouraging our competitors to trade amongst themselves without using the dollar. I mean, these are my opinions, so I'm just ranting for a second here, but when I see Trump slapping tariffs on Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Western Europe, I'm like, Trump, these are the friends, supposed to be our friends. Why are you punishing Taiwan? Why are you punishing Japan?
Why are you punishing the American people?
Absolutely.
Prices. So, and you're right. And back to Hegseth. He came to that office with a certain tough guy ethic. But it's not just about being a tough guy.
Nope. Right.
And you can juice the soldiers with testosterone and make them more aggressive, but
and that's a serious proposal. Roid raging the soldiers.
Yeah. So think about this.
Think about that, Todd. Roid
Why-
rage soldiers. Yeah.
Why shouldn't we first be thinking about how precious those soldiers' lives are, and that we should never be sending them into battle for some other country,
Amen.
and we should never be sending them into battle without the Congress of the United States under Article 1, Section 8 taking
Yes.
direct responsibility, or cutting off funds if necessary, if there's no if the administration goes off on their own. The president chose people for his connected with the Defense Department, and in order to have control over the policies. But ultimately, the president of the United States is responsible. He's the one who made a campaign commitment saying we're going to end these forever wars. That's what he said. And a lot of people who followed him and are in the Make America Great Again movement have become very disappointed that he didn't keep that promise, because that promise was instrumental in getting him elected.
That's right.
You have to go back to September and October of 2024, when Joe Biden was rattling the cage with Russia and threatening to send more missiles through Ukraine to Russia. And it was really causing people concern that we were going to have a face-off with another nuclear power. Trump understood the moment. He told people, we're not doing these forever wars. And unfortunately, that's exactly where we are. And the regional war has spread. The idea of a stasis is only a matter of time before this war bubbles up someplace in the Middle East. If it's Saudi Arabia and Yemen, if it's the United States Navy or bases under attack to push us further out of the region, if it's Israel attacking Iran and Iran attacking Israel or U.S. assets, this thing has the potential still to spiral out of control, even worse than it is right now.
Hey, Dennis, I just want to make this part of the interview about me. I want to humble brag here, okay? People who've tuned in know that I have testified that I have not voted in the last 3 elections, except I wrote in Jesus Christ because I believe he's the only one who can fix this thing. But I have already voted. I am the first person to vote in 2028, and I have my ticket here to prove it. I think that the ticket needs to be the Tucker Carlson, Dennis Kucinich ticket, and it needs to be called the redemption ticket. And I have just voted. Right there's my checkbox. So there you go.
Well, that is a
Todd, thank you. And I just say, there's a lot of good people out there who are raising their voices and challenging this this condition. And I'm talking to 2 of them right now. We have to. There has to be a very broad coalition, and I think that that's taking shape. And certainly Tucker has really been a driving force in getting people to recognize that this is not the America that we signed up for.
No.
It's something like totally different. And he does it in a way that's intelligent and forthright and courageous. So, I appreciate what you said, and I would like to reflect back to Tucker's own courage on that. One of the things I'd like to do in the time that we have remaining, I just read an article in a National Law Review. I think it may have just come out, that talks about the how Israel's become more involved in investing in the United States defense technology, and that in this article, just to go over a few points, if I may, that in 2025, in the middle of this attack on Gaza and now the West Bank, Israel's so-called 35 index went to record levels. They had $59 billion in mergers and acquisitions and initial public offerings. And one of the big deals was a $32 billion deal that Google had with Wiz, which does cybersecurity. And there's a Palo Alto network that was a $25 billion for an Israeli group called CyberArk. And you have now, there's 135 Israeli companies that are listed on the NASDAQ. And you know, startups are raising billions, and a lot of them have to do with defense tech. And you have, there are issues now before the Securities and Exchange Commission about having greater transparency that right now at this time. But, you know, we're right now seeing that 80% of new companies that are being founded in the United States or incorporated in the United States, that Israel now has about 80% of the companies that are being created, they're sending into the U.S. So now when you put that reality of their increased involvement in investing and co-investing with U.S. interests, you see why this Section 219 becomes ever more dangerous, because they'll basically have a free hand in being able to build out their defense sector with the help of United States taxpayers' dollars. And they'll be able to integrate data, all of the systems that exist right now in the United States with respect to high tech would become part of one organized defense Leviathan, if you call it that. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit deeper into the business end of what's going on, and you look at all the companies that are making money off of the genocide. You know what? This is another part of that moral equation, because this is about money. Make no mistake about it.
It's Dennis.
Yeah.
I take to heart what you're saying, and I also want to plug your Substack page quickly here. It's called the Kucinich Report, and that is at kucinichReport.substack.com. There it is, and that's for those who don't know how to spell your name, it's Kucinich.
Took me years to know how to spell it.
Well, but people appreciate everything that you're doing here on all these fronts. But what you just said is so critical. And you might accuse me of being a little black-pilled on this, but I have said, and I'm sticking with it, that what Israel did to Gaza is a pilot program for what the military-industrial techno complex will one day do to humanity, to all of humanity, if they get the chance, if we let it go that far. And that's what, yeah.
Mike, yes.
Yeah. We are, all of us, well, let me say this way. None of us are safe in a world where we tolerate Israel's genocide against anyone, because that is being used to develop the algorithms, the autonomous kill systems that can be turned against anyone else. And we already have, flock cameras all over this country. What do you think comes next? Kill bots for Americans, autonomous hunter killers on our own streets. Just like ICE, but now robot ICE shooting Americans on the streets of our own country. That's not science fiction.
Well, we already have laws that have been passed that would prosecute people for criticizing Israel.
I know.
College campuses have been quieted by threats of suspension, expulsion, college presidents being cashiered because they permitted the exercise of free speech on their campuses. I have here a list. I just pulled this up off the internet. It's worth checking. These are companies that are incorporated in the U.S. They operate as U.S. defense contractors, but they're fully owned by parents in Israel. The Elbit Systems of America, major defense contractor in Fort Worth, Texas, and Roanoke, Virginia. The IAI North America, headquartered in Virginia, acts as the U.S. arm for Israel. Aerospace industry manages hundreds of millions in annual U.S. aerospace and satellite businesses. Rafael USA, based in Bethesda, it manages the U.S. operations for state-owned Rafael Advanced Defense Systems and partners with major U.S. firms like RTX Corp to manufacture parts for missile defense programs. And then you have U.S. listed companies with Israeli executive leadership, including Ondas Holdings. It's a big one. This is a U.S.-based autonomous systems and drone defense holding company that's heavily integrated with Israeli leadership in its top ranks. And get this, just recently, this Ondas Holdings appointed the head of Mossad, David Barnea, to be its global CEO. So, this is just the beginning of a discussion here of how this web keeps on getting connected, and what this Section 219 ends up being about is it opens up the floodgates. These groups are already in line for defense contracts, and so they keep growing. They grow Israel's economy at the expense of the United States and forever wars. So we have to follow the money. We have to look at the corporate connections. We have to look at who's making the money. We have to insist on transparency. We have to raise the issue about foreign private issuer status, because there's a lot of these companies that start in Israel, and because they're home countries in Israel, they do business in the U.S., and they're not necessarily that transparent.
Of course,
we don't
not.
understand what they're doing. Just wanted to add that to this discussion.
Well, thank you for mentioning that, Dennis. And people need to be alert. So if they have an investment portfolio, they know to avoid financially supporting companies that are engaged in weapons used against humanity. But I want to pivot for one segment here, and being respectful of your time, Dennis. But there are economic consequences to this war that were clearly not well considered by the Trump administration. I don't think any of them. I mean, I understand Scott Bessent is bright, but I don't think that Lutnick or Hegseth or Trump and others actually considered the supply chain ramifications. Now, this show is about decentralized living, so we encourage people, grow your own food, do home gardening. You're going to need fertilizer. Oh, guess what? Fertilizer's running out. Oh, you're going to need, diesel fuel, let's say, to power a small tractor on your hobby farm. Oh, guess what? Now we're in a diesel crisis. Even according to the CEO of Shell Oil, warning about what's coming with diesel and gasoline. Polyethylene shortages, helium shortages, sulfuric acid used for phosphate extraction from phosphate ore for those fertilizers, and many, many other things. In essence, Trump's war, clearly fought on behalf of Israel, has now created a supply chain shock that makes it much more difficult for any American to live in a more self-sufficient manner. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, I not only agree with it, but the political consequences of this. See, Trump needed to get out of this war in April at the latest, because now these supply chain disruptions that you've spoken of, Mike, the impact of it at this point will extend right up until the circumference of the election. It goes right into the election. Republicans know this. They're going to pay a price at the polls for these policies that are having a ruinous economic effect on the United States. Now, Israel has already paid a price. I mean, There hasn't been much publicity about the missile attacks by Iran and the counterstrikes that go into Israel. But Israel's already paid a price, and they keep that, on the QT as far as public information. But the Israel economy is not, is not in the same position as jeopardized. However, there's other crises that are coming up as a result of this. U.S. attacks Iran's water infrastructure. Iran is threatening to blow up desalination plants. We're looking at the potential of a larger breakdown here. You described the immediate impact on Americans, but the more that you disrupt the supply chains are global now. We live in a world. This is why war is so stupid.
Right.
We live in a world that is interconnected and interdependent, and we're I can use this cell phone and call somebody in 10,000 miles away and get a hold of them like that. We travel anywhere we want up until February 28th, maybe. And we have a lot of mobility in this world. That's going to change with this approach that's being used. People's standard of living, as you have portended there, Mike, will change. It will decline. The standard of living in the United States will decline if we continue to pursue this forever war. This raises questions. I had a discussion the other day about the bond market, how some of our trading partners are already in trouble, how we're trying to bail people out. Japan, for example, with selling euros, crazy arbitrage situation. We are
Buy more yen. That will save our treasuries. Yeah.
Well, see, China, what China did, well, the U.S. was spending upwards of $6 trillion in forever wars over the last few decades. China invested its money in other countries. Now, hey, I'm not for the Chinese social credit system and its tight-fisted control over people's rights, but they've steered a course that was about economic growth, and the U.S. steered a course towards destruction. A million innocent Iraqis killed in the war against Iraq, this. We keep on pretending that we live in a unipolar world. The world's changed. We have to recognize that we're no longer a nation above all the other nations.
And China, if I could add, China is also showing the success of planning rationally. I mean, China's now building its own UV lithography systems, making ASML obsolete. China's power grid turns out more than twice the annual aggregate terawatt hours than the United States power grid. China's GDP is larger. China's industrial output is larger. China's number of graduating scientists and engineers is 4 or 5 times larger than the United States. I mean, it just goes on and on. Robotics, drones, advanced materials, rare earths extraction, innovation. China, I agree with you. I'm not endorsing the whole government of China, but I'm saying China today reminds me of what the United States was like in the 1950s. It was like young, hungry, innovative, hardworking people who were really smart. Like that was the 1950s or the 1960s in America, or even the 70s, you could argue. Slide rulers, it was like people could do math in their heads. Today, oh my God, it's a pale shadow of what it was.
When we think about the America that we want, and that's one of the things Tucker's doing right now. He's put out a manifesto. What kind of a country do we want? We need to have that discussion right now.
Yes.
We need to have a discussion where the American people come together in town halls around the country. This is the country we want. And I think you'll find when you have those discussions, people will go back to their practical aspirations, where the self-sufficiency that you talk about can only be obtained if we use the resources that we have as a country to rebuild America again, not just economically, but constitutionally.
Mm-hmm.
Right of free speech, the right to be secure from unreasonable search and seizures,
Right.
the 14th Amendment rights. I mean, so many of them are being chipped away. And this is a great time for Americans to start coming together, not only at the polling place in November, which they will, but and this is no longer just about Democrats and Republicans, because unfortunately the differences have been so blurred between the two parties, uh, especially on foreign policy, that I think that what we need to go back to the American people, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. And that's part of in our 250th year here, this process of renewal and Todd redemption is a process that we need to re-engage in and re-excite and know that even at this rather perilous time, we still have within our hands the ability to reshape the future of this country. It's not lost, but it's only if we recognize that we're in a dangerous situation of wars that could spin out of control. Not only wars in the Middle East, but the Ukraine-Russia war, which is being boosted by some European elements and backdoored by some U.S. intelligence assets. We need to really come to an understanding of the primacy of peace in our own lives so that we can recreate the founder's vision of a country that really has the ability to adapt to an undreamed of future, and one that could meet the practical aspirations of people just for decent lives and a roof over their head and be able to meet their healthcare expenses and put food on the table for their kids, send their kids to decent schools. These are aspirations I grew up with. And I think that those of us who are part of our generation, we know what's been lost, but we can retrieve it. There was a poet by the name of Tennyson, and he wrote, "Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world." And we need to seek a newer America. And in that way, we can make a great contribution to a better world.
Wow, such a radical vision. It's funny. It's your old warnings keep turning into current events. Is kind of what I've noticed over the years. Dennis, I can't let this question go just because you were part of Congress for 16 years, I believe. But Congress has three branches now: fundraising, grandstanding, and passing things they haven't read. Dennis, after serving for 16 years in Congress, is the institution primarily dysfunctional, or is it functioning exactly as the permanent bureaucracy lobbyists and major donors intend it to?
Well, there's no question that Buckley versus Vallejo and Citizens United, which created a condition where corporations could put unlimited amounts of money into a campaign, changed the political terrain. Both political parties chase money after the same sources. And that has a real impact on the process. I think that people who run for Congress, or whether it's the House or Senate, I think many of them start off with the right motivation. You don't run for an office unless you have some love of country. But what happens when you get inside, there's this system that kind of embraces you and says, well, this is what you have to do. And people lose their independence of thought. They lose their agency, really, by becoming part of a system. And the system isn't working. And that's we all know that. And so the members of Congress, some of whom are pretty decent people, many of whom are decent people, are very few of them have the ability to break through. Thomas Massey is, one of the examples of somebody who is a truth teller, and he challenged the establishment. They went after them. They may have defeated him in a congressional race, but they made him into a national figure who people are paying close attention to what he says. I think, Congress can work, but we're going to have to change campaign finance laws. There's just no two ways about it. Because if people can essentially turn a congressional race into an auction where it goes to the highest bidder, the fact that $70 million could have been spent in the Michigan Senate race to try to knock out El Sayed. Whoa. It's like, it's just an auction, and you just need a more professional auctioneer. So you have to change that. And I think if you change the campaign finance approach, I think you're going to have an impact on having been able to rescue government of the people and for the people and by the people. Right now with this campaign financing, it's so hard for candidates who stand up and challenge the status quo to remain in office. And
Absolutely.
just have to recognize that. It's not impossible. I was pretty fortunate. I had a lot of support across the country. People would send, small contributions that added up and enabled me to stay in office for 16 years. And I'm always been grateful for that. But you know what most people have to do? They go to the party headquarters and they're given a book that's about this thick and they dial for dollars. And they spend more time doing that generally than they do legislative work or listening to debates or coming up with their own proposals. It's just, they end up being like gerbils trapped into a rotating cage. It's sad.
That sounds about right.
That's kind of the way the system works. Can it change? Absolutely.
All right. Well, Dennis, in respect for your time, we're going to wrap this up. And I just want to thank you for taking the time and also your principled courage, your intellectual honesty, your honest assessment of what's happening in the world. It's greatly appreciated here. Our audience is wise enough and well-informed enough to value what you've offered us here today. So thank you for joining us.
Well, again, thank you. My wife and I read a column on Substack, Kucinich Report. And in this case, I shared with you some details, which will be in my next report, which should be out in a few days.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Well, I'll encourage people to check that out. Again, kucinichReport.substack.com.
However, yeah, and Substack. And yeah. Todd, thank you.
Thank you. I am so excited for the redemption ticket.
Well, I am sure, Dennis, that you will have an important role to play at some level in the refounding of this nation or the reforming or whatever it ends up being. I think you're a very important person.
Thank you, Mike and Todd. And we all have that capacity and that obligation. So thanks.
We'll play our part. We'll do the best we can. And we'll try to crack a few jokes along the way as well to, keep everybody entertained. But thank you, Dennis. It's always an honor. Have a great rest of your day and be well.
Thank you,
Dennis. Thank you.
Right.
Take care.
All right. So everybody, there you go. Dennis Kucinich. What a great American hero there. And Todd and I will be right back after this short break with the after party discussion, which I'm sure will be very enthusiastic today. So stay with us. We'll be right back. If you'd like to help support us, check out all of the affiliate deals I put together for you at rangerdeals.com. And if you go there, you'll see I've done due diligence on all of these affiliates. There's really not that many, but we have partners like Battalion Metals, co-founded by Tucker Carlson, Nessa's Organic CBDA Hemp Extract, Above Phone models that are de-Googled phones, Red Life, here's the peptide company, Limitless, Pet Mectin, and so much more, including the satellite phone store, vp.net. And for almost all of these, you can use discount code RANGER here, or sometimes it's something else like Brighteon50, but normally the discount code is RANGER, which will save you something on these deals. Now, we do earn a little bit off of these affiliate deals, but it's no additional cost to you, and it helps support our platform and our work for humanity, including our AI projects that offer free open source knowledge in multiple languages. You can check those out at brightlearn.ai and brightanswers.ai. So thank you for supporting us. Check out rangerdeals.com anytime you want to save money on really high-end products and solutions that I personally endorse. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Thanks for watching. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the after party. And Todd, well, hey, I got to say, you know, the caliber of guests that we have on this show is just amazing.
It really is.
And Dennis is another example of that.
Oh, and I don't know if he is thinking about the redemption ticket being on it, but
I don't know.
I'm telling you, he would be fantastic. You know?
Yeah, well, I think so too. I mean, Tucker knows him. I don't know what Tucker's planning exactly, but well, let me back up for a second, okay? Because I have a slightly different take on this than Dennis. Dennis is more optimistic than I am, and that's one of the things I love about him, by the way. But I'm a little more black-pilled in the sense that I don't think this current trajectory makes it. And whereas you're talking about the redemption team, I think we need more like the reboot team. So I'm thinking of the reboot, like who is going to reboot this constitutional republic after the collapse of this current system, which is irredeemable.
I know.
What?
Foucault, of course.
Master Foucault?
Master Foucault.
Well, I hate to tell you, but Foucault is coming back with the new video rendering engine called Minimax H3.
Yeah.
This engine is so good. I was actually thinking of Master Foucault because now he can do so many more things with this engine that we can run locally. It's mind blowing.
Wow, that's amazing.
He'll be coming back, and so will Avocado.
Good.
By the way.
Oh, maybe Foucault and Avocado can run our own ticket, and there will be 3 branches on our ticket, Mike.
Yeah, 3 branches.
Control, Alt, Delete.
That sounds about right.
See, that's what we need to do for this country.
On a serious note, my point is that we've already proven that even if you elect someone like you put RFK Jr. as the head of HHS, it doesn't change it.
No.
Because the bureaucracy is so massive and it has so much momentum and it's so corrupt, you know, the FDA corruption, the big pharma infiltration, regulatory capture by corporations. It's so corrupt that even good people in top positions don't have enough power to really achieve the reforms that are necessary. Correct. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, I was thinking you'd mentioned fertilizer in the interview and the implications of that running out and everything. And it just got me thinking, Mike, this could all be orchestrated, and maybe it has been, the whole war, by Monsanto, because they just came out and announced a new BOGO on Roundup. You know, that's you don't need fertilizer when you got Roundup. You just spray the crap out of all the weeds. Sorry, Mike, I had to go there.
No problem. But
down the rabbit hole.
Let me actually tell the audience here, because as a disclaimer and as a courtesy to Dennis Kucinich, if he posts this entire segment, he does not endorse what happens from here forward. I just want to be clear. Because this is a segment of the show, we call it the after party, right? Todd and I usually go off the rails.
We do.
Because this is like our Friday. We actually film these on Thursdays.
Yes.
And
it is our Friday.
And it is our Friday because then we don't do any more interviews on Friday. So this is like our Friday. So this is like we're letting our hair down. Not that we have long hair, but we used to. Like we could. You have a mullet wig, for example.
I can don the mullet anytime
put on the mullet.
I want to.
But I just want to say, Dennis Kucinich does not endorse what happens next.
That's right.
Right. These are our own twisted opinions and lame attempts at humor.
Okay. Lame attempts at humor. We're really good at the lame attempts.
We're very good at that. Okay, but just try to keep it clean, though, Todd. I don't want to hear about ladybugs and stuff like that. Just keep it clean.
Worries. Okay. No gerbils.
Except in the context of home gardening. Okay, that's all.
Yes, that's right.
All right. All right. With that said, back to my point, I'm more pessimistic than is Dennis, but I think we need a reboot team. Because I think we're going to default on the currency, frankly, or really the debt. You know, I mean, Basent is like desperately buying yen to make sure that Japan doesn't sell off their treasuries, which would cause our 10-year yields to go over 5%, which would be like financial Armageddon for the dollar.
Yeah. I just want them to reprice gold, Mike.
Well, your wish is going to come true. That's coming.
35,000.
Well, we don't know the number, but it's not going to be 4,000. It's going to be much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really whoever has the gold has a future financially, you know?
That's true.
Like literally.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And whoever's holding dollars is going to find out that history repeats itself with currency failures.
Yeah. Yep. You trillionaire, you.
Oh, yeah, I do. Look, what's on top here? $10 trillion, Todd.
My goodness.
I am a 10 trillionaire in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yep.
You know, and I knew you back when you were only a trillionaire. Not a
yeah, I know. When I had these other bills over here. But the thing is, this is real currency. You know, like this isn't play money. This is from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Yeah. And it has all these security features on it to make sure that no one else would counterfeit it other than the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe that did all the counterfeiting. You see, right. To make sure they have a monopoly on counterfeiting the currency.
You know, gold, one of the knocks is it doesn't pay interest, Mike.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't hold a press conference to explain why your life savings just disappeared. You know? Yeah,
I don't expect gold to pay interest at all. I don't need it to.
No.
People say, well, it's not working for you. It's working because it's just holding its value. Exactly. That's all I want it to do.
Exactly.
Working just fine.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to make your money earn money. And like, have you actually done the math of all your stock market investments from 1985 through today? You've gained almost nothing after inflation.
Right. So true.
Yeah. And then you pay the capital gains tax, and then groceries are 10 times more expensive or whatever. It's like you haven't gained anything in the stock market.
Nope. Well, as a matter of fact, you've likely lost
probably
a lot. 2008 happened. I remember, my 401k, 50%, boom.
Oh yeah.
It went down. Yeah. It took like a decade to get back to where it was at that point in time in 2008.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget the Nikkei crash in 1989, Japan.
Right. Exactly.
Took 29 years to recover. That's that's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's
a long time. And I remember 2000, and this was before, we met and I got super focused on precious metals. I don't know why I did it. It's just that in 2008, when my portfolio went down by half and it got back to where it was in 2019, was kind of in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, you know what? This is all cyclical. This is going to happen again. And so I actually withdrew the money, liquidated everything, and I had to pay the federal taxes on it. I live in Florida, so there wasn't state, but I also had to pay that 10% penalty, right?
Oh wow!
But why did I do that? Because I wanted to put it all into precious metals.
Yeah.
So that turned out to be a really good decision, even after the tax liability.
Right. So you put it into metals in what year? 2019.
2019.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
So you bought gold below 2,000 an ounce.
Yes.
Like 1850, 1900 an ounce, something?
Yep.
Wow. So that has already more than doubled, and it'll probably double again soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I would have kept it in this, here's the thing. My calculus was a little off though, because the stock market hasn't retraced like it did. And we're in 2026, but I still believe it's all cyclical. I mean, it's not if, it's when, right?
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, I don't own any stocks at all.
I know you don't. Yep.
I'm completely out of the stock market.
Yeah.
Because I just, to me, it's just a giant scam.
Mhm.
It's rigged. It's all insider trading.
Yeah.
And it's hype. You know, people just blindly pumping money into this, and stock valuations make no economic sense, especially in semiconductors right now.
Right.
It makes no sense at all. Like, you can't rationally, mathematically justify these current prices. No way.
No.
So I don't even bother.
Yeah. You invest in panels now.
Well, I mean, I buy infrastructure. Okay.
Yes,
So
you do.
I buy GPUs for AI inference and vibe coding.
Yep.
I mean, I buy workstations and computers. I'm actually about to make another purchase of some really good systems. I buy solar equipment, energy infrastructure, batteries for storing energy. To me, that's the smartest play right now. Like, if you have, other than just stacking gold and silver, but if you have excess funds right now, or if you own stocks, I'm not your financial advisor, so that's the disclaimer,
Right.
but I would sell your stocks and buy an off-grid solar system, because the grid is not reliable. It certainly is becoming less and less reliable.
Yeah.
Because of data center demand and so on.
Right.
And also just, eroding infrastructure in America. But, what's the value of having electricity? That's huge.
Yeah.
Versus just owning some, paper valuations of NVIDIA or something like that. That doesn't do anything for you.
No.
Doesn't make your freezer work again.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of solar and electric, my solar system kind of crapped the bed. Did I tell you? Right.
Well, that happened after that hurricane hit your roof. Right?
It did, and yes, in spirit of full disclosure, the roofers, they had their guys to come put the panels back on, so it wasn't the original installers. And ever since then, it's been off. And so what was like a $25 electric bill started to go up like $100, $125 and such. And I've just kind of suffered through it. And then this last month, it was $550.
Oh man.
And so I called the solar people, and they did their analysis. Solar Edge is the company. They did their analysis, and they said, well, sir, you haven't been operational on half your system since October 9th, 2025.
What?
Like, shame on me for just thinking the $100. I was blaming it on the roofers,
So you have a bad connection problem somewhere.
Yes. And the inverter is shutting everything off on half the house. So I have a guy who's coming out.
Wow.
That is going to troubleshoot it and hopefully fix it. But man, it got me thinking, if I would not have installed that system, because at one point in time it took it down to like $25 a month.
Wow. Yeah. But that's a grid tie system, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yep. So, thoughts and prayers, people, for my solar panels.
Well,
I
it may,
get that sucker working again.
Clearly the storm caused more damage than you expected, but that's because I think you may have misgendered the storm. You called it a hurricane. It could have been a hizzacane.
A himacane?
A hizzacane or a hemicane. Yeah. Those are worse.
Yeah,
You
but
get the male energy, and then the Weather Service names them with female names. Like, Hurricane, like Brenda or whatever, right?
But if it was a theyacane.
Well, what I'm saying is, if it's a male, if it's a hizzacane and they gave it a female name, then it's a transgender hurricane.
Yes.
That's what destroyed your solar system.
It was really pissed off.
Could be, yeah.
The self-identification was just all wrong.
It was totally wrong. So it just ripped all your PV panels. Yeah.
And it didn't like the food forest, the solar, didn't like decentralization.
Yeah, it ripped up your food forest too, huh?
Yeah, theacanes hate decentralized living. I think we called it.
There you go.
Dennis, if you've made it this far, this is why we gave the qualifier earlier. This is the after party.
Dennis Kucinich does not endorse anything that was said for the last 10 minutes. I just want to be clear.
It's clear.
This is he is not responsible for what happens here. Nor does he endorse it. Okay. But back to the topic here. Well,
Yeah.
so, we were talking about gold and silver and funds, and here's something really cool I want to share with the audience. With your UNAs, which we want to talk about, because I don't think anybody should own any asset without talking to you about UNAs. I mean, seriously, a house, a car, land, a ranch, gold, silver, crypto. You need to talk to Todd. In fact, you want to give out the website real quick? Todd, we'll bring it up.
Sure. My575e.com. My575e.com.
Okay, that's it.
And if you go there, yep. And if you just scroll down a little bit and you see that little orange "Let's Go" right there, all you have to do is click on it and put in your name and email. And then that'll give you access to a 90-minute overview video of Dennis Gray. I interviewed him, and he is the subject matter expert on these UNAs. And we have a downloadable PDF that talks about the 32 positive attributes of operating a UNA. And if you scroll down a little further from there, if you just want to talk to me, and I don't understand, some people move forward with the UNAs, Mike, and like a custom UNA is 6,000, the already established is 5,500. But I offer, if you want to talk to me and really take a deep dive related to your operating reality, book a consultation with me, because it's $150. And guess what? If you move forward with the UNA, you deduct that from the investment. So why not? I always enjoy talking to people about this, and inevitably, I can help people make sense out of, the most common objection is, well, I haven't done it because I just felt it's too good to be true. And Mike, otherwise. We all have people in, that we know together who know otherwise. And I just invite people to get smarter about these.
Yeah. And also I want to mention, if anybody has trouble bringing up the site, just put www in front of it. Because like on one or a couple of my Linux systems, the site, you have to have www.my575e.com. And then it comes up.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's only with Linux.
I think it's only with Linux. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let your guys know that they need to do like a little an alias of the subdomain or something, but that'll fix that.
Okay.
But what I want to mention, and I don't know how much you will allow me to say here, but I decided I wanted to understand this a little better at a higher level. Yeah. And I talked to some people that you help people connect with, who I am so impressed with and just completely blown away by structures that they are able to put together that offer extraordinary privacy protection, asset protection, liability protection, lawsuit protection. I mean, I've seen in years past, I've interviewed other experts, I've seen other structures. Nothing is as bulletproof as this.
Right.
It's a game changer. The way they've set it up. Yeah.
Yeah. The way they set it up and there is, the way I look at it is acquiring a UNA, just one, is way better than not having one.
Right.
And then you're going to figure everything else out. It is a journey. And what you've found, Mike, is that now you're at a different part of your journey to see how these can be turbocharged, the protection of them, right? The privacy of them. There are additional strategies that can be done that you investigated, and thank you for complimenting the two people I connected you with. They are extremely smart.
They are. So I'll say this for the show. I talked to them because I am attempting to see if it's possible to achieve a specific task.
Yeah.
That I have in mind. If I achieve that task, which they've laid out a plan for how to do that, then I'm going to share that publicly.
Perfect.
And we'll talk about it later. And I'll just kind of walk people through what I learned.
Yeah.
But I'm really blown away. I just want to encourage everybody, you have an obligation. I think there's a moral duty to legally reduce your liability, to protect your privacy, and even to, where possible, legally minimize your tax burden under existing law recognized by states and governments, in order to stop funding a broken system
Yeah.
that's sending bombs to commit genocide. I mean, our country bombed school children in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when the parents and teachers came to try to rescue and dig those children, those girls out of the rubble, our military bombed them again to kill the parents and the teachers. That is abhorrent. We have a moral duty to minimize any way that government can extract money from us to fund those kinds of operations, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because how would God look at us?
Right.
If we didn't make an effort to stop as much as we could within our power under the law to stop the harm from being carried out in the world.
Mike, I'm a God guy, and I do get on the mat every evening, and I sincerely pray for God's protection and provision, and the protection specifically. Every night I talk about, please protect, the UNAers, the DTVers, Mike Adams, my family, of course, etc. Right? But I really think that that was a great question. What would God think?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, by keeping more of what you earn, I am 100% confident that you will be a better steward of those funds than, whoever's sending the
Right.
dollars over for forever wars.
Right. Nobody is going to, just like you said, be a better steward or conduit for assets than you yourself, because
Yes.
you know what your local community needs. You know how to best help the people around you. Or what is the best, infrastructure that can help the most people. All kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
The federal government doesn't know how to spend your money better than you do.
No.
I mean, they're just going to waste it on, kickbacks and bribes and payoffs for, the military industrial complex.
Not that we have anything against bearded trannies and drag reading to our kindergartners at our local libraries, but, I think our funds could do better. That's just me though, Mike.
Well, it's funny you say that, but in contrast, like I know this is going to be controversial, but so what?
It's the after party.
I am not nearly as annoyed about like the rainbow crosswalks and the tampon dispensing machines in men's restrooms. To me now, in retrospect, based on the fact that Trump has us on the verge of nuclear war and the destruction of human economies and even maybe civilization and billions of people potentially, like I can handle the tampons in men's restrooms. It's like I just don't want world war, Right. Like in retrospect, tampon machine, so what? Rainbow crosswalks, I can live with that. What I can't live with is world nuclear war and radioactive fallout, Like we have to keep these things, we have to compare them
in perspective.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of gold, Mike, why don't you share with people how they can acquire some?
Oh yeah, well, that's a good point. I guess I should do that. Okay, so here's the deal, and the website is rangerdeals.com. I'm bringing it up here. Of course, we are affiliate partners with Battalion Metals, which is co-founded by Tucker Carlson. And if you go to Ranger Deals right there at Battalion Metals, there's a link there, and you can click on it. And if you use discount code Ranger, you will save. They'll waive the shipping insurance fee, and you'll be able to save a little bit on physical gold and silver at really honest, competitive prices with amazing privacy protections and so on. I've worked with the Battalion Metals people, Chris Olson and crew, for 7 years now. High integrity people, full on Ron Paul supporters, pro-liberty, etc. And with Tucker Carlson on board, oh my goodness, right? It's a great combination. We also offer gold backs, and I've got some here. So these are the like the gold backs right here. There's physical gold in each one of these. And it was so cool because I had Mickey Willis here in studio the other day with his 15-year-old son, Azai. And Azai is a young filmmaker now. He's come out with his second film, which is pretty wild for a 15-year-old. Because, that's what happens when your dad is a really amazing filmmaker too. Anyway, so I gave Azai a bunch of gold.
Nice.
And I said, Azai, this is the most important lesson you're going to learn here is never hoard, always be a conduit. So you need to find like 20 people to give this to.
Nice.
You got to pass it on. Like you can keep a couple of them yourself, but you got to pass it on to somebody else. And that's what I do. I have a stack here. Actually,
that's great.
The stack is getting smaller because I keep giving it out. But I have a stack of gold bags. I just give them out when there's people here, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you can get gold backs too, which actually has physical gold in the bills, and that's there on rangerdeals.com. And we've done the lab verification of the gold content. So physical gold in the bills is pretty cool. In addition, there's other affiliate deals there on rangerdeals.com for, Above Phone, which is the de-Googled phones that we have, and the satellite phone store there for the privacy protecting satellite phones. What's great about sat phones is they don't talk to the cell towers. So when you're driving around with a satellite phone, it's not checking in with the towers, man. There's no log of where you drove when you have a satellite phone.
Right. So you could have gone to Washington for January 6th, right?
I've
not been geolocated because...
Yeah, right. Because that's what they did, They geolocated everybody with their phones, and then they went out and arrested like 1,500 people who were mostly just peaceful protesters. But anyway. But, the Supreme Court has now ruled that geofencing warrants are unconstitutional.
About time.
You know that? But where are the apologies to all those people who did time?
4 years, right? 4 years?
Huh?
How many years did they?
Well, some people were incarcerated for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I interviewed some
right
on the show after they got out. And they were subjected to torture in U.S. jails or the U.S. prison system. Torture under the Biden administration.
Was there any financial remuneration for them?
Well, that's in the works. The lawyers are working on that. They are supposed to be eligible for up to $10,000 per day that they were incarcerated.
Good. I hope they get every penny.
I hope they get it all. The problem is they'll be paid in fiat currency. So it might be, how would you like $10 trillion? It's like, we'll pay you $10 trillion. And by the time they get the money, the dollar is going to be collapsed,
But what they can do is they can acquire a UNA, donate up to 60% of it, and lower their tax basis accordingly.
Well, they could
gold
if they knew about that.
That's right.
But the best thing would be to buy gold and stack gold or silver and let that value maintain itself over time as the dollar erodes. That's the best strategy.
That's the best strategy.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to wrap this up, Todd, but I want to say, I just want to tease the audience here. Things to look forward to. I'm going to bring a new Avocado AI video you made the mistake, Todd. You gave me your voice sample and like a really high-res picture of you in your studio. And I was actually thinking, I have this idea of a little comedy skit to do with your likeness.
Oh my gosh.
And hear me out. This is so funny.
Okay.
So have you ever heard an interview with somebody who, like, clearly they're doing it from their kitchen table because in the background, like their wife or husband is making dinner?
Yeah.
You've heard like the microwave and the dishes and everything?
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it'd be funny to do a segment with your digital avatar where we have like a mariachi band playing around you. And your avatar is like, what are you talking about? What mariachi band? We're just doing an interview. And other distractions, like there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like, "Rah!" And your avatar is like, what? No, this is normal. This is like every day. What do you think about that?
Oh, that only you, Mike.
Or like there's aliens that show up and start like combing your hair, you know?
Right.
Like we call that like grays for the grays, you know? And then you'd be like, what aliens? What are you talking about? This is just the crew. This is just the home help. Anyway.
Have a realistic looking big papaya walk behind me.
Yeah, a giant
bananas.
Ambulatory papaya. That's a whole new species. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Mike? I anticipate I'll see it on Monday.
Well,
the way you work.
We'll have to see. I have to rewrite some code for this. Because this new model has a totally different way of taking in prompts.
Oh, really?
You have to be very, very specific with the prompts now.
Okay.
Like everything, the seconds, the music, the background, the cinematography style,
Yeah.
everything. And it'll do it. But we could have Avocado claymation also. So do you like claymation, like Nick Park and Wallace and Gromit? Have you seen those before?
I have.
Yeah? Are you a fan of Wallace and Gromit?
Not really.
No, that's not your favorite thing?
No.
Oh, well, I find it hilarious because I have goats, and in Wallace and Gromit, they're always animating sheep.
Oh.
And the personalities of the sheep are very much like the goats. So I'm always laughing because I'm like, oh my God, that's totally accurate of what animals do. Anyway, maybe we should have a claymation Avocado. Huh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you know how they do the AI babies that are telling each other jokes?
Oh,
right?
yeah. Right.
You could have Fukoff and Avocado rapping about some jokes that we could come up with. It would be kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah. We could try that. That'd be fun. But we could try different animation styles. But anyway, we're going to do something fun.
Yes.
And I'll also use my own likeness for some of these as well. We'll
perfect.
Yeah, I'll make fun of myself at the same time.
Deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. So I just want to encourage everybody to check out all of our other episodes at decentralize.tv. And we will continue to bring you more information that helps you stay informed and aware and more self-reliant, because the world's going to shit.
In a handbasket.
Yeah. So you're going to need this information.
So we're here because the world's going to shit, folks.
Man, does anybody believe Trump's like peace deal? Like, we're going to have peace in 48 hours, I'm like,
is it Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Well, but now Trump can taco on any day of the week, it turns out.
He can.
Yeah.
He can.
But I don't believe anything that comes out of the White House because never holds water.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I think people are just getting, and this is not a good thing necessarily, but I just think people are just getting immune to it all.
They are. Numb.
Numb is the word.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't care what the headlines say anymore. I mean, it used to be kind of interesting at the beginning of the war, right? Because you kind of took it a little bit seriously and stuff. But the Taco Tuesday thing and just all of his lies and everything, it's just like,
right.
I mean, when is Trump lying? When his lips are moving,
Yeah, he'll say like, we're really close to an agreement. The negotiations have been going well. And then a spokesperson from Iran is like, we're not even talking to you.
Yeah.
We're like, what are you talking about? There are no negotiations. We don't negotiate with you because you keep murdering our negotiators.
Yeah.
Like, why would we talk to you?
Right. Unbelievable.
So,
yeah.
Well, I guess, but that does prove there is some usefulness to the voices in your head if you're the president, because you could say those are the negotiators.
Yes. Man, I thought Biden was losing it. I think
I know.
Biden was very, very sane in comparison now.
Biden was less dangerous
Right.
in his senescent state, shall we
Yes.
say.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas as Trump is like awake enough to cause damage and
Right.
ill-informed enough to make it hurt,
I just think Trump I think Trump really believes that he is going to be the superpower president of U.S. rail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow, some way, I think he sees that there is going to be a big golden statue of him in Palestine, and declaring peace.
Okay.
I'm telling you, U.S. rail. That is
US
a
rail.
beautiful. It should be in our title.
I wouldn't be surprised if Congress votes to change the American flag to like the blue and white star,
Right. Right. Yeah.
They're practically running all those flags all over their congressional offices anyway.
That's crazy.
As Dennis pointed out.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's just mind-boggling.
It's crazy.
Oh, well, everybody, at
All
least
right.
we're here for you.
Yeah. We'll do our best to keep you informed. Thank you all for watching today. And again, check out all the other episodes at decentralized.tv. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.